You can call me a gatekeeper, you can get mad at me for saying that, but I am right, and here's why.
I'm mad. I'm already mad, Jake Ruth. I disagree. I'm mad. Is software engineering a job that anyone can do? Well, today I'm going to be reacting / responding and adding commentary to a video that I saw on TikTok, so let's jump right into it. Alright, I have the video pulled up here from Jake Ruth Official. I just wanted to start by saying that any of my commentary and response here is nothing personal against this person, Jake Ruth. This is just my opinion, my perspective, and I wanted to be able to voice it. Alright, I'm going to be playing back this video from Jake Ruth Official and pausing it as I go. As I do that, I will add in commentary, and then at the end, I'll add in a bit of a summary about my perspective on this topic.
Warning, this might piss you off, but you can't run away from the truth. We're going to talk about how most of the population is not fit to become a software engineer or...
Alright, first off, yes, I agree. Not everyone is cut out to be a software engineer, but not everyone is cut out to do many roles. Let's see what he has to say, but I mean, I don't disagree with that statement. I just don't think it's unique to software engineering. Not everyone's fit to be a policeman or woman. Not everyone's fit to be a firefighter, so sure.
Ever be someone that's working at a professional job writing software full-time. You can call me a gatekeeper, you can get mad at me for saying that, but I am right, and here's why.
I'm mad. I'm already mad, Jake Ruth. I disagree. I'm mad. No, I'm just kidding. I can already see where this is going a little bit. You're already defending that you're a gatekeeper, and I mean, I'm interested to see why that's the case, but perhaps it's just the messaging.
I have been a software engineer for 10 years. I have worked with people who have went to school for software engineering, for people that have went to boot camps for software engineering, and I've seen a lot.
Okay, so good credentials, yes. Software engineering for 10 years, okay. Been doing software engineering for 15 years and a software engineering manager for 10 of those 15 years as well. A chunk of that was an overlap where I was doing software engineering and engineering management. Very successful startup, not my own, but got to participate in the very early days, and it grew to be wildly successful. IPO actually is going back to being private, which is completely bonkers. And I work for Microsoft now, so those are my credentials. So just to see if it helps when we're kind of looking through this.
Number one, being a software engineer is a high-intensity, hard job. You are not chilling, you're not sipping pina coladas on Google's roof. You are in intense software planning meetings, fixing bugs, being on call for production issues. And if you don't perform, you will be fired.
Okay. Okay, first off, let's talk a little bit about some context here. There's a lot of different roles, or I guess perhaps domains, that you could be working in as a software engineer. If you are working on teams that have live services, then absolutely, with respect to being on call, like, you have to think about, especially at scale, right? You're going to have a service that is something that people are going to be using. It has to be up all of the time. There's expectations about this, and that can be a very intense job, yes. Now, usually how this works, and this isn't the same everywhere, of course, but in order to be able to scale and support live services, you would generally have on-call rotations. And this means that not the entire team is on call all of the time, 24 hours a day. It's super high intensity. You hate your life all the time. You take turns participating in a rotation. And again, this can look completely different depending on the team, the organization, the service, the company, whatever. But generally, you have shifts for on-call. I could understand that if you were at a very small startup and you don't have the luxury of having enough other people to help support the service, that sure, this could look a lot more intense. So I agree with that part. I just wanted to add some context because this sounds like a live service thing. I've also worked on products that were desktop-based applications. I have worked on products that were mobile applications. The difference is pretty shocking in terms of like the stress level for live support. Yes, working with a desktop platform, absolutely we would have tech support people coming to the engineers and asking for help troubleshooting, but it was quite rare that you would have something that had just shipped and everything was completely broken and like you have this panic situation, whereas with live services, this is something where you could have an outage somewhere, that kind of thing. And even if it has nothing to do with the software, you have to come up with mitigation strategies to help out customers. So again, this can look very different. Right before I paused, the last thing that was said by this individual was that if you don't perform, you will be fired. That's just like an aggressive thing to say. You could generalize that, I suppose, to any job anywhere. Let me just I'll say it a different way. Like, if you don't do your job, you will be fired. Probably, right? Like, take any profession. You're a police officer. If you don't do your police officer duties, you will lose your job. Probably. Yeah, if you're a teacher, if you don't do your job and teach people and show up and do that, you will be fired. Probably. Like, I don't think there's really any disputing that, but I think going back to the gatekeeping part, and maybe, I don't know, maybe this video was created for a little bit of sensationalism, of course, like I could see that. Try to bring some truth and make it a little bit polarizing. You have people like me that are watching it and making comments about it now. I guess my take on this is that the phrasing of this, like, it's kind of setting you up to be like, look how hard it is, and you got to perform or you're gone, you're toast. Now, I just want to add, like, back to my credentials, I'm an engineering manager, and if I have people that do not perform for some reason, my go-to is not, hey person, see you later, you're fired. Like, it's just not it. If I have people that are not performing, it is a lot less black and white about, like, keep your job or not. And certainly it would not be a, issue where you had something come up one time and it's like, hey, look, you're gone. That's it. There was an incident and you didn't respond within 2 minutes. So, like, you're fired. Absolutely not. It doesn't look like that. Things that warrant, being fired kind of like immediately would be pretty serious, probably like HR violations, that kind of thing. And even then, it could look like, there's opportunities for coaching people through stuff. Like, I don't even know, but certainly not like you had a bug in your code, you get fired. You didn't respond fast enough, you get fired. No. So, like, what does it look like? Well, if you're not performing properly, my job as an engineering manager, and what I would expect other engineering managers to do if they're doing a good job, from my perspective, would be that they're meeting with people on their team regularly. You're level setting expectations for what you expect of your engineers regularly. There should be no surprises. So if it comes time where someone is getting fired for something, whatever, that's generally like the last resort. And it should not be a surprise to this person at that time. And I should clarify that I know that this isn't the case everywhere. I can't speak from a general perspective and apply this as a blanket rule across every software company in the world. No. But in my opinion, again, good engineering managers are level setting expectations with their engineers. Our go-to is not to see you get fired. We don't want to get to that point. It's not good. Ideally, we've done the work up front to hire good people. So if something is not going as planned, whether it's skill-based or something else, engineering managers want to work to dig into that, understand why, and work with the engineer that's having the problems. If it's skill-based, okay, can we help train you up to make sure that you're getting the skills? Maybe there's something that's happening outside of work and it's just something personal that's going on, and building that trust relationship with your engineers on your team is an opportunity to say, look, like, okay, if something's going on, like, cool, let's make sure that we can chat through it. Let's make sure we have a strategy for the interim and make sure that we're covered. And you try to support that person through the issue, not like, hi, you're fired because you just didn't do good. Even after all of these things, you're putting in the effort to make sure that you can try to level up people. You would want to consider trying to move someone to another team where they may be a better fit before they're fired. If you, like, honestly, if you think about the amount of time and effort that goes into hiring good people, if that person is still a good person, it's not their character traits, and it's not like they're just not showing up to work or something because they're trying to coast by. Like, if that's not the case and something's not working out, perhaps they're not actually as engaged in this area as they thought because different expectations, it would be a way better opportunity to not lose a good person and try to align them to something that's a better fit. Again, there's all these other things that we're looking at as engineering managers before you're fired. I feel like this statement about, like, you're not performing, you're fired is like just sensationalize it a little bit, but I don't know where this guy works and can't speak for how they do things. So we'll see. Let's keep going.
What a lot of people don't like to agree is not everyone was built for this. For example, I was not built to ever be a professional dancer.
Yeah, like this is kind of what I said at the beginning, right? Like not everyone's going to be a police officer, a firefighter, professional dancer, sure. Let's keep going to see what he has to say before I add in more.
Or a basketball player. No matter how hard I try to do those things, it's just not going to be for me. And what
I think I can agree with that. Yes and no, I guess. Like he listed off a couple examples there. Professional basketball player, probably not everyone is going to be able to do that, right? You have a small pool of people that are sort of like the elite that are able to do that. Because the pool is so finite that you can fit into it, your opportunity, even if you're really good, like you can't control how good the other people are, right? So even if you're amazing and you've been training your whole life for it, there's just potentially, statistically, other people that have done the same thing and perhaps they just have better genetics or whatever. Like their training was more on point, whatever it happens to be, that kind of out you from having that ability to enter. So yeah, not everyone can be a professional basketball player. I'm 5'4" and I have terrible cardio, and maybe if I put some effort into running it would be better, but I'm probably never going to be a great basketball player, even if I trained my entire life. So I agree to that one. Professional dancer? I don't know. Like, if you trained your entire life, is there like a limit on how many professional dancers could possibly exist? I don't think so. I mean, not everyone's going to like it. That's a different story, right? It's like if you're able to versus whether or not you enjoy it enough and you're passionate enough about that thing to put in the time for it. So is software engineering like that? Well, software engineering's certainly not like being a professional basketball player. Yes, there's a lot of people that want to do it, but there's like a seemingly infinite amount of work that exists that needs software engineers to help make it reality. It's not the same for professional basketball. I don't know like how professional, in this example, like how professional dancing fits into that, but back to the gatekeeper comment, like, yes, not everyone is going to enjoy being a software engineer, especially if they don't understand some of the other things that go into it. Like I talk about this a lot. Software engineering is not just coding. You're not just cranking out code at your keyboard and like headphones on and never talking to people. There's a lot of other stuff going on. He's mentioning some of that, and I think that's right, but the delivery of this, again, perhaps to sensationalize it, the delivery of it feels like it is, hey, like, you're not cut out for this because it's hard. And it's like, there's a lot of hard stuff. But I mean, man, if you enjoy doing it, then like, it's not going to be as hard. Like, you're overcoming the things that are hard because you enjoy doing it, right? And because it's not a limited pool of possible software engineers, I don't really agree with this kind of delivery. So let's keep going.
Whether you believe it or not, it's the same for software engineering. One of the biggest nuances here is some people are amazing at software engineering, but they hate it. I've worked with engineers that hate their life because they go to work every day doing something they hate, even though they can do it. Make sure that you like it. It's not for everyone.
Okay, so that's the end of the video. Let me kind of see, like, even for the end there, I think we're kind of conflating a couple of things. Your ability to be a software engineer, I think, is something that is in your control. I think that if you understand what goes into software engineering, you can train the skills that go into it. You need to be able to problem solve. You need to be able to communicate and collaborate with people. You're going to need to be able to write code and understand code. And all of those things that I just mentioned are skills that you can train and put time into improving. But of course, like what I do agree with this individual on is that not everyone is going to enjoy those things, for sure. So maybe how I might phrase this is like, not every person who likes to program is going to be a good fit for working as a software engineer in a company. Would I say that not every programmer could be like do that? No, I wouldn't say that, because I think if you understand what those requirements are to become a good software engineer and you wanted to do it, then you could work at those things. So the difference that I see in his messaging is like, I think we're conflating, do you have enough passion about what's actually involved here versus do you have the skill set to do it? No, not everyone is going to have the skill set to do it, but those are things that you can work on. So can anyone go work on those things? I would say yes, anyone can drive improvement in those areas. But not everyone is going to enjoy all of the things that are involved in software engineering. So that's my perspective. Again, I'm an engineering manager. I've been doing this for over a decade. I've been in software engineering for 15 plus years. My take on things from startup land and big tech, different perspectives involved there. But again, I said it at the beginning, but I don't mean anything negative for this individual. I'm glad that he's sharing content and stuff like that, but I just don't agree necessarily with the messaging. I think that this was probably intended to be a little bit sensationalized to get attention. Hey, look, it's working. I'm making content about it. But I think that the messaging that I would try to give to people instead is not like, hey, this is going to be too hard for you. You probably, like, you're not going to make it kind of thing. That's how this video feels. And I would instead try to call to attention, and this is what I have been trying to do, call to attention the things that you're probably going to want to focus on if you are interested in becoming a software engineer. To me, this feels a lot more empowering, like here's what you can focus on to build yourself up, and a lot less like, you're not going to get over this barrier, so like not everyone's cut out for it, too bad. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.